There comes a moment in the journey when love stops reflecting what is missing within us and begins to reflect the freedom already present in our hearts. A moment when the heart, tired of losing itself in promises, illusions, and expectations, starts to understand that love is not something to capture or conquer, it is something to allow. When this shift happens, the fire that once burned with obsession turns into a steady, illuminating light, and this light does not seek to possess. It only seeks to shine. For most of our lives, we were taught to love as if it were a transaction. We give in order to receive, yield to be accepted, promise to be chosen. We called it love, but it was a kind of contract. We called it surrender, but it was really fear of loss. For most people, love became a system of exchanges, and each heart learned to calculate how much it could give without breaking. But true, free love knows no such measures. It does not count, weigh, or demand guarantees. It flows like two rivers meeting, touching briefly, and continuing on their paths. Free love does not end feeling, it ends confinement. It arises when consciousness matures enough to recognize that the other does not exist to fill what is missing, but to reflect what already overflows. At that point, love stops being a search and becomes an expression. It is no longer about needing someone, but about sharing one's own being. It arises from wholeness, not from lack. And paradoxically, this love is rare because it demands something the ego fears: completeness. As long as we remain hungry halves, we see the other as a patch, not a mirror. We seek closeness not from fullness, but from escape, turning love into confusion, attachment, and drama. Free love can only bloom when the soul finds rest within itself. When this happens, the vibration shifts. The gaze softens, the touch becomes more aware, and desire quiets. Love ceases to be an impulse that drags and becomes a current that sustains. It is like two rivers flowing strongly but not needing to merge to recognize themselves as water. Each maintains its course, origin, and identity, and it is this independence that makes their meeting beautiful. Free love does not fear distance. It understands that absence is part of the flow. Space is not a threat, but a breath, an interval where feeling renews itself, like a flame needing air to keep burning. In this natural rhythm of closeness and distance, presence and silence, love matures. It stops being fever and becomes awareness. But the path to this freedom requires unlearning. One must let go of the love that suffocates, the love that demands proof, the love that turns another into a guarantee of happiness. One must abandon the idea that love is about fusion, because fusion is not unity, it is loss. Free love does not erase, it reveals. It does not diminish individuality, it illuminates it. When two awakened beings meet, there is no attempt to possess, only recognition. It is as if they are saying to each other, "I see you, not as I want you to be, but as you truly are." And in that seeing, there is no control, only reverence. Love becomes sacred not because of rituals, but because it honors the mystery within every being. It is a love that does not feed on urgency. It can wait, it can breathe, it exists even in the other's absence. Free love does not rely on constant presence. It lives in the living memory of what is true. It does not vanish when the body moves away, because it was never bound to form. It moves in the dimension of being, not possession. And this is why it often frightens the world, which calls it detachment, as if it were cold. But free love is not indifference, it is clarity. It does not stop feeling, it stops getting lost in feeling. It does not close the heart, it simply refuses to chain it. It does not abandon the other, it lets them be free. Free love is courage. The courage to remain open while knowing all is impermanent. The courage to love without guarantees, to walk without certainty, to trust without demanding return. This courage is a purifying flame. Free love is that fire, burning yet calm, intense yet conscious. Gradually, you realize that this love is not something you find, it is something you become. It does not arrive from the outside, it awakens within. It emerges when the heart stops pleading and begins to give, when fear of loss dissolves and the joy of existence becomes enough, when love is no longer a need but a state of being. To love freely is to stop trying to capture the river. It is to admire its flow, knowing that beauty exists in movement itself. Love belongs to no one, just as wind does not belong to the field it crosses. It comes, touches, transforms, and moves on. And if it returns, it is because it never really left. It merely changed form. Free love needs no eternity because it is eternal in each moment it is lived fully. It does not promise forever. It says now, and now is infinite enough. In time, you see that free love is the deepest form of trust. Trust in life itself. To love without holding on is to believe that nothing true can be lost. Love does not need protection. It only needs to be lived. This trust is rare because we are raised in fear. From childhood, we are taught that love means risk, that loss is inevitable, that we must cling tightly to what we hold dear. Free love laughs at these attempts at control. It does not defend, it surrenders. A heart that has learned free love is like a flame that no longer fears the wind. It burns steadily, not from weakness, but from stability. The power of the flame lies not in size, but in the quality of the light it gives. That light is born from understanding that every being has their own path. Love is not a detour, but an invitation to walk side by side as long as it feels natural. Free love does not promise continuity, it promises truth. It does not promise eternity, it promises presence. It does not guarantee the future. It trusts the integrity of the now. Love that tries to guarantee itself has already begun to die, for love cannot survive in cages, only in freedom. And though this love is pure, it is demanding because it gives the ego no ground. It requires loving without possession, without the cushion of emotional security, without shields of promises. The ego panics. What if the other leaves? Free love answers. Then they go, and you remain open, were never truly yours. When you love in this way, you realize that the beauty of love is not in permanence, but in honesty. To love is a gesture that does not need anything in return because it is complete on its own. To love freely is to let the other continue being themselves, even if that leads them away from you. It is a love that does not trap. It simply wishes for the other to grow, even if not by your side. But it would be wrong to think this is cold. Free love is not the lack of connection. It is presence without control. It feels deeply but does not cling. It cares but does not demand ownership. It gives itself but does not vanish. It is the delicate balance between attachment and indifference. The place where heart and awareness meet. To reach this point, one must cross the desert of illusions. One must let go of the stories about love, let them die. The idea that to love is to be chosen, saved, or needed must fall away. Free love is not a role to play, but a feeling to experience. It does not come from two lacking, but from the meeting of two freedoms. When two such flames meet, there is no drama, only recognition. It is as if the universe, for a moment, is seeing itself through two pairs of eyes and saying, this is how love expresses itself in human form. They do not seek each other to be completed, but are drawn together because they share the same light. They are two wholes meeting, and they respect each other's wholeness. Between them, silence is comfortable. There is no need to prove, explain, or ask. Simply being together is enough. And it is exactly this naturalness that unsettles those who still live by old rules. To those who still confuse love with need, free love seems too distant. But to those who have faced their own emptiness, it is the only kind of love that makes sense. Free love is a dance of two souls that do not hold each other back, but move together in harmony, each keeping its own rhythm, each keeping its own space. Sometimes they are close, sometimes they drift apart, but the music continues and the flow is unbroken because there is trust. And trust is the ground in which true love grows. It is not born from promises, but from perception. You see the other and feel safe to rest. There is no need to guard, fear, or pretend. There is clarity, and that clarity is itself a miracle. Free love does not fear being fully seen. It does not hide its shadows or exaggerate its light. It exists as it is, imperfect yet real. Over time, you begin to understand that loving freely is not only about loving another, but also about loving yourself. It is allowing yourself to exist without guilt, without the need to please, without trying to fit expectations. It is a love that begins within, and from within it spreads outward. That spreading changes everything because love stops being about lack and becomes an experience of abundance. You no longer love to get something. You love because there is too much inside you not to share. Free love does not need a reason. It is the reason itself. There is an even subtler beauty in it. Free love does not oppose ordinary love. It does not reject connection, desire, or touch. It simply purifies them. It removes the need to possess and restores the sweetness of presence. It transforms desire into reflection, touch into communion, bond into celebration. And when love reaches this stage, it is no longer something just between two people. It becomes an energy that flows through everything. To love someone is to love the world through them. It is to see in them the reflection of the whole. It is to recognize that the same life that moves them moves you as well. Free love is the moment when I and you are no longer separate but become a passage. Two flames, two rivers flowing together without rush, without fear, without destination, only movement. With time, something deeper unfolds. Love stops being only a relationship and reveals itself as a state of awareness. What was once the space between two becomes the very fabric connecting everything. At this point, love stops being a verb and becomes a presence, the invisible air breathing through all beings. You begin to realize that love is not something that happens between two people, but through them. It does not start from the encounter is simply the way love appears. Love belongs to no one. It moves through, touches, transforms, and continues on. Each time it passes, it leaves a mark of clarity behind. True love, then, is love aware of its own nature. It is not a desire struggling to survive. It is the presence that knows itself as already eternal. For this reason, it does not fear change, endings, or distance. Where real love exists, there is no opposite. The opposite of love is not hate. It is fear. And when fear dissolves, love stops being just a feeling and becomes perception. You start seeing love in everything. In the wind brushing through the trees, in the quiet gaze of a stranger, in sunlight touching water. Everything begins to reveal itself as made from the same essence. What was once I and you dissolves into something greater, a field of unity where separation no longer exists. Paradoxically, it is only when you realize that nothing truly belongs to you that everything becomes intimate. True love is not limited to people. It stretches to all of existence. It is the love that honors mystery, bows to simplicity, and sees beauty even in pain. It does not seek only pleasure. It seeks truth, having understood that truth is the only soil in which love can grow. The deeper this love becomes, the quieter it turns. It no longer needs to announce itself or seek recognition. It appears in small gestures, in listening, in presence, in respecting another's freedom. It is love that does not try to persuade, only to understand. It does not seek to control, only to exist. At this point, love is no longer just human. It is divine, not in a religious sense, but in the truest sense of the word. Love that recognizes itself as the essence of being. Love that looks at the world and understands everything that exists as a reflection of itself. But this awareness brings a paradox. Seeing love in all things also makes the pain of the world more vivid. You feel the suffering of those trapped in illusion, the despair of those who confuse attachment with care, possession with surrender. Sometimes the awakened heart grieves, not with judgment, but with compassion. It is like watching a child dream a nightmare and knowing that no matter how much you wish to wake them, they must awaken on their own. This is the compassion of true love. Quiet, patient, unhurried in its guidance. It knows every soul has its own timing, and even suffering is part of awakening. True love does not try to convert anyone. It simply exists, like the sun shining without asking who deserves its light. Love matures until it is no longer aimed at someone in particular, but toward everything. You love because it is your nature. Love becomes your way of being. There is no effort, no expectation of return. You love whatever is before you, a person, a landscape, a moment of silence, with the same calm intensity. In this state, love becomes truly free because it no longer depends on the presence of the other. It does not vanish when the other departs, because the other was never the source, only a reflection. True love is the fire that continues burning even when the wind shifts. It is the river that keeps flowing even as its path changes. One day you realize that to love and to live are the same. Every living being is itself an act of love. Existence is an ongoing dance between the visible and the invisible. Once this is realized, the awakened person stops seeking love as a goal and begins living it as presence. In this state, every meeting is a miracle, every separation a continuation. Nothing is wasted. Even absence carries its own depth because true love is vast enough to contain silence. It does not need constant proximity to the other. The other already lives within consciousness. To love this way is to move lightly, to live with an open heart and empty hands, to know that nothing can be possessed, yet everything can be celebrated. Love neither clings nor flees. It makes no promises, but fills the present moment completely. In the end, this is what remains: the now, the instant, the touch, the gaze, the breath. Everything real happens here. In this moment, true love is complete. It does not wait for tomorrow, nor need the past for validation. It is whole whenever it is lived consciously. When two people live this way, the world itself changes. Time seems to slow, words lose weight. An invisible harmony binds everything, as if the universe itself breathes through them. They are two flames that do not extinguish each other, but strengthen one another. Two rivers that do not merge from necessity, but from choice. They walk together as long as their paths align. When the flow separates them, there is no sorrow, only gratitude. True love does not require permanence. It gives thanks for what was, blesses what will be, and rests in what is. Love is measured not by duration, but by the depth of presence. In this understanding, freedom arises, the freedom to love without fear, to feel without constraint, to exist without needing to explain. True love is the highest form of surrender, not to another, but to life itself. It is trusting the flow, accepting mystery, allowing the river to take its course. Love, when genuine, never ends. It only transforms. In this way, everything completes itself. Boundaries dissolve between self and world, lover and beloved, fire and water. There is only the eternal movement of consciousness loving itself through countless forms. Two flames, two rivers, one flow, one love.